we've been doing on questioning, these three students have been going undercover for the last couple of weeks, looking at questioning in lessons in different subject areas, and this is some of their feedback from their findings on questioning. What you've got to remember, this is their point of view, this isn't necessarily right, but it's just quite interesting to see from the other side how they feel about different questioning techniques and what they enjoy and what they find a bit more difficult in the lessons. Okay? Right, off you go, guys.
Positive things we have seen.
Nice feedback from our questions we are. It is really important how we are praised because it builds our confidence and makes us feel good about asking and answering questions.
Questions on what we did last lesson. I think this is really good for us to remember where we are. It gets us thinking about the subject.
Tell us before that a question is coming. We think it's important that you give us at least a few minutes just to think about the question, because otherwise we're under pressure and we're more likely to get it right.
When questioning is fun, sometimes teachers turn questioning time into games and then get rewards.
This is something you really raised, didn't you, from just having rewards, any sort of game, just something to make it, rather than just a question time, but some sort of fun activity linked with it, just to get the enthusiasm going as well. Okay.
Choosing a person to answer at random. I think this gives us a fair chance for everyone. Don't just ask the same person or the first one to put their hand up. We all need to get involved. So,
Negative things we have seen. Our names should be known. We think it's fair because we're over halfway through the year. We've had previous experiences where teachers still have to go by the seating plan to remember our names.
When we are told to ask the person next to us, sometimes before asking the teacher we get told to ask the person next to us, and sometimes they don't know the answer and they just make up an answer, and with the teacher it's fully explained.
Everyone's hands up. We think it's fair that we have quite a lot of time for questioning, because if I have a question, someone else might have a question, and they ask it, it might extend our learning.
This is something they picked up a lot on. There's so many of them will have their hands up, all wanting to ask particular questions, but it's never the time to actually fit all the questioning in that they want to ask particular things. So, okay, yeah.
biased. This is favouritism, and I don't think it's good because, say, I put my hand up one lesson and the teacher says Abby, and I got the question wrong, they think, oh, I'm not going to ask her again, she'll get it wrong. So I ask this person each time. So I think they should, vary on who they pick. Oh. If we wait a long time to ask a question or answer one, we forget what to ask or the subject has moved on from our question.
Sometimes we get asked questions on subject areas we haven't covered yet. Sometimes we get asked questions on that subject area we haven't done and nobody knows the answer, and the teacher gets a bit frustrated because she's putting her hands up but we don't actually know what to be explaining.
On the flip side to this, the teacher's often doing it to actually find out who knows anything about the subject to gauge the class's knowledge. So while you guys do get a bit frustrated with that, it's also beneficial for the teacher to see who knows and what they know as well. Okay.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Do you really think that teachers, if you get a question wrong, will shy away from you for the next lesson?
Yes.
Really? Interesting.
More negative things we have seen.
If we try to answer and get it wrong, we sometimes get told off. Here's an example. Ellie, how do you spell milk? No, you got it wrong. We did this yesterday, you obviously weren't listening, and I said it was homework and you didn't do it, so you did it wrong and I'm very angry with you. And this is a more positive approach. Abby, how do you spell milk?
M-E.
No, you just, good try, but you weren't quite there. I think you might need to go home and revise it a little bit more, but it was a good try.
It is really nerve-wracking for us. This is not taken into account. Teachers are more confident than our students, because they're in front of the class all the time, and we're always, well, we're sometimes put on the spot and we don't know what to do because we get a bit shy and worried about what we're going to say. So I think the teachers should think about it.
This was a big thing that you said. You did go through a lot with me about how big a thing it is just to simply answer a question in front of the rest of the class, and how you do go through a lot. It is stressful for you, it is nerve-wracking, and it is quite a big thing, especially to encourage you to answer the questions as well. Okay, keep going.
We are given very little time to answer. Here is an example of that. Abby, how do you spell milk? No, sorry, you're taking too long. And this is a more positive approach. Ellie, how do you spell milk?
M-I-L-K.
Well done. You took your time, but never mind. At least you tried and you got it right. Now try and learn to say it all at once.
This was also at the thinking time. You noticed this, didn't you? When you're given the thinking time, it's really beneficial to allow you to think about your answers and get them out. Okay.
Ways to improve our questioning.
And this is some of the recommendations you've come up with, isn't it? But again, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. This is from their point of view, and it's not necessarily always the correct thing, but it is interesting just to hear what they think. Okay.
Sorry. Selecting students to answer. I think the teachers need to vary and point more random. For the previous teacher we had a spinning wheel thing with numbers on, and the teacher gives you a number, and whatever number the wheel lands on, you answer a question. And I think that varies our questioning. So yeah.
Arrange students or full view to select the first person ready to answer. We think it's only fair that the teacher can sit the whole class, because in past experiences the teacher kept on looking at one section of the class and not everyone, so a lot of people didn't get the chance to answer.
More questioning sessions as starters. I think it's good to start the lesson with questioning, as if someone's a bit confused they can have it explained to them, and also it gets us going and thinking about the subject area.
Super cute. Let them test you. We do this with Mr. Woods, and we have to try and beat him when he challenges us.
This was more open-ended question, like on a particular topic. It is more a case they can ask me any sort of challenging questions they can think of to try and challenge me to answer it. You do have to put yourself a bit on the spot, but it also gets them really thinking about difficult things and expanding their subject knowledge. And some of the questions they do come up with are really quite taxing and challenging, but at the same time it's a good opportunity for them as well.
Instant reward for a good answer. If we ask a really good question, and sometimes we could pack up early or wait by the door to go so then we're not late, or we have more time to get to our next lesson or break for lunch or
Follow-up questions. We think it's important that teachers should try and do follow-up questions. For example, if I asked a question about World War or something, and then I'd follow up with another question about the question I asked before, because it also extends our learning even more.
This is the higher order thinking skills, so things like getting them to evaluate and analyse, just expanding on their answers, but you said as well, didn't it, just more confidence if you're answering again and again and again, and just getting even more praise and just expanding your answer. So it's interesting you guys picked up on that style of questioning. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it guys. Thanks very much for attending.